How's it going, everyone? I'm your girl, Gabrielle, and you're watching Influenced. I am so happy that you're here. What can you expect to see? Well, this series will highlight some of the most impactful influencers on Instagram, where they will talk about their journey, share their story, and give advice on starting a personal brand from the ground up. I cannot wait to have candid conversation with strong, powerful women regarding the ins and the outs and the ups and the downs of this new but explosive industry. It seems that everyone wants to be an influencer today, and that can sometimes make it hard to stand out. But each woman that I have on this show will most definitely stand out in her own unique way. So think of this as your central hub where you can come to find your favorite influencers on Instagram or discover new ones. By the end of each interview, you will have a better idea of who the woman behind the brand is, behind the post, behind the camera. You will find out who influences them and why they choose to influence all of us every day. I am constantly inspired by these powerful, creative entrepreneurs who are paving their own future while using their platform and voice to do good. This is Influenced. I am so happy to be joined by Amy Zhang of the Luxi Look. Amy, I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's seriously my pleasure, and this has truly been, it's such a long time coming.
I know, this year's just flown by.
I know. I'm so excited to talk with you and hear about everything and just talk about your incredible brand and your journey, and there's just so much to discuss.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited.
Of course. Well, actually, I wanted to start with your wedding because you just got married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amy's wedding. You all have to go check out these photos, and we'll put all her information. So stunning.
Thank you.
Puglia, Italy. I mean, was it a dream? It looked like a dream.
It was really magical. Everyone says it, but it truly was just the best day. It just surpassed all of my expectations.
Oh,
I'm really happy we waited.
Was it a long time coming?
Yes, it was. We were engaged for 3 years.
Oh my!
Would not recommend.
Wow. And then when were you supposed to get married?
So our original wedding was planned for May of 2020.
Right there.
Right there.
Right smack in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually this is a good place to start because there were so many negatives that came out of this pandemic. So, that's a negative. You had to postpone your wedding. Was it one or how many times?
We postponed twice.
There
so
you
we
go.
just kind of kept kicking it down
Yes.
down the road.
And we all had to pivot and postpone in so many ways and just go with it. But then there were also some positives that you could say, okay, you got to spend more time with family. You got to make more time for yourself. You got to create more content. And we all saw that content boom, obviously. People were just at home and just saying, okay, I'm gonna start doing this. So I wanna know, what was a positive that came out of all of this for you pertaining to your content, to the Luxi Look, to growing your brand? What was that silver lining for you?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think in the moment it felt so negative, having our lives just completely disrupted by this pandemic that no one could have predicted.
Yeah.
And I think now that we're 2 years on the other side, obviously COVID is still very much here, but
right.
I think we're all learning to move forward. And it's easier to see those silver linings now, and there were so many. So I think the biggest one for me was just that space. I just really feel like when you have space, it allows new and better things to come in. And you have to almost create that space, because if you're just always running around and busy and you have no space, how can you possibly let something new in? And that pertains
True.
to relationships, romantic and friends. It pertains to career opportunities, content. You really need that space. And it's a little uncomfortable at first, but then something better comes along. And I think COVID was just this forcing function of so much space, more than you ever asked for, but that time really was so reflective and just allowed us all to learn about ourselves, think about, how was I spending my time? Is that how I want to be spending my time? What's my relationship like with my job? Do I like my job? What about, with my friends and family? What really matters?
Right.
And I think that, authenticity really came through in content from the pandemic. I think we all developed this deeper sense of knowing who we are and, kind of shedding some of the aspects of our lives that maybe didn't really serve us anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe we're just part of like this pre-pandemic life.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. How was the Luxi Look born? How did you start?
Yeah, so I started like 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's been like a side hustle this entire time. So I was working a corporate job. I was working at a studio. I had just moved to LA. I didn't know anyone. I didn't really have any friends. I had a lot of free time. My job wasn't like super demanding. And so I really wanted to spend my time doing something that was, I guess, like productive, but also could help me meet people and like, maybe learn some skills along the way. So, kind of, I think everyone's like, oh, I just wanted to share my outfits, or I wanted to share like my life. So I started just taking photos of what I was wearing and like posting them on Instagram. I started a blog, I had a website, and I was like writing about my outfits. And it kind of just like picked up steam from there, but it really was born out of this just curiosity to learn a bit more about social media, digital marketing. I was working in like a corporate strategy role, and I knew I wanted to be in marketing.
Yeah.
And I was having a hard time making that switch. So I was like, I really like clothes. I really like to put outfits together. And I think I can learn a couple things by just doing this myself and not waiting for someone to give me like the perfect job on a platter.
A lot of people are turning their content creating into their full-time jobs. But what I love about you is you actually used your content and used the side hustle to help you land like multiple dream jobs or jobs that you really wanted to get. Can you tell me more about that process?
Yeah, I mean, I think like being a content creator full-time is a very, very challenging job in and of itself. And when I started, it was an option, but there weren't as many people doing it. I think like the path has become a lot clearer. When I started my blog, like a literal blog, again, I just wanted to learn as much as I could. So I was trying to make this pivot from like strategy to digital marketing, and I was interviewing at all these companies and just having like no luck at all. They were just like, hey, like, have you done this before? I'm like, no, I haven't, but I work hard. I can figure things out. I want to learn, like I want to do this. And they're like, sorry, like you haven't done this before. Why would we take a chance on you? So I started a blog, and I was like, hey, I'm teaching myself how to write copy, how to set up a website, how to do blog posts, how to set up a content calendar, how to post to social media, how to grow a channel. Like these are all the things that I'm doing. I'm doing SEO, like I'm doing it all myself. I'm a one-woman show. And I kind of took that with me into interviews, and it was almost like a bit of a portfolio or like a resume. Like, here's the work I've done. This is my background. This is my experience. But also on the side, like this is how I've been learning about marketing.
Right.
And I think that could be valuable from like a skill set to your organization. And like that helped me in so many interviews. Like once I literally got an offer on the spot, like I was like pulling out of the parking lot, validating my ticket, and they're like, hey, like actually, we want to give you this job.
Wow.
And that was like crazy to me. And it just really helped me like feel more confident in what I was doing. Whether the path was like to be a full-time content creator or just even to keep doing it as like a passion project, like a side hustle.
You also created your own opportunity. I think that's a great path, and everyone's path is different. What does a typical day in the life of Amy Zhang look like?
So my days now look very different than what my days used to look like. So I used to be balancing a job and content. And I was just kind of like running around like a maniac. I'm really lucky that I'm kind of in a sabbatical right now. So I'm taking a break from working like full-time corporate 9-to-5 life. And I am kind of exploring new opportunities and also focusing a bit more on content. So it's like, side note, like the best gift I've ever given myself. It really, like, I think everyone needs and deserves a break. But back to your question, how I spend my days, I mean, it's very leisurely, and I feel just like it's so indulgent to even be able to say that. But I'll usually wake up and like, make coffee, hang out with my husband, walk my dog. We have like a little bit of like family time together.
So nice.
And then I'll usually do I'll usually post in the morning and like respond to emails, do admin work. Then we'll go work out. And then the days I either, go to events or try to do like some networking meetings. I'll take calls. I still take interviews. I take every interview that I ever get. I think it's just great practice. You never know what opportunity is around the corner.
Definitely.
And then, you know, I try to like clean and just do errands, make dinner, and, you know, just kind of have like leisurely evenings. We'll hang out with friends. Like it's a slower pace for sure than what I'm used to.
Like you said, a great break. You're deserving of it. Of course. And would you ever turn your content creation into a full-time job?
I think I'm more open to it than I ever was. Like, I think for a long time I really held my corporate job as like a big part of my identity. Like, this is who I am. This is like really important to me. And I think taking this break has really forced me to reevaluate my relationship with work and myself, and just how much pressure I was putting on myself to just do it all. There are so many avenues that you can take content creation that I feel more comfortable and confident than ever that it could be a full-time thing. But I also am really passionate about helping small businesses. I'm really passionate about, you know, digital marketing. I'm really passionate about like growing, you know, consumer brands. So I'd love to find a way to fuse those interests together. And that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned
Thank
for
you.
that. That's
Thank
exciting.
you.
What can people expect to find when they come to your blog, your Instagram, your TikTok?
So I try to share my life as authentically as I can. And I think before it was a bit more of like balancing, you know, this like influencer life and like my full-time job. And I think that's still really important to me, because at the core of everything is like this dream and ideal of balance. I'm always looking for balance. I care a lot about just feeling good about yourself. And that's so much more than, you know, like what you're wearing, what you're eating, you know, your makeup routine, your skincare routine. But I think all those things feed into it, right? Like everything you do is an extension of like your inner self. And so I really want to share just balance in every aspect of life, because that's something that is really important to me. It's a value of mine. And so I always want to kind of share like how you can, you know, just authentically find that balance and calm in yourself. You know, even if you're living like a really crazy life, I think it's so important to be able to come home and like you are your own home, you know?
I love that. And, you know, your page and your Insta and your TikTok, it honestly is very calming. Your aesthetic is so, it's calming, and it's, you're not trying to, you know, put on this show.
Yeah, I really want to like just kind of inspire in a very like calming way. Like, hey, it's okay if you need a break. It's okay if you know, just want to like do your skincare at night and just have like a nighttime routine and stay in. Like, I feel like in my 20s, because there wasn't really TikTok, like there wasn't as much content of people just being like, I don't like to drink. I don't like to go out. I don't like to be out every night of the week. And like, that's okay. Like, I feel like TikTok has really made it okay to just be who you are. And I've kind of been like, you know, a homebody since like my mid 20s, and it's really cool to see people just like owning it now. I'm like, good for you. Like,
no one's alone.
No one's alone. Like, whatever your interests are, like, you know, whether it's like you love to go out every night of the week, you love to travel, you love to stay in, like you love the outdoors. Like, I just feel like let's just normalize being who we are and like liking the things we like, and not, you know, feeling guilt or shame about it.
Definitely. I completely agree. You're originally from Minnesota.
Yes.
What was the biggest challenge you faced when moving to LA, and how did you overcome it?
That's a good question. It was a while ago. So I grew up in Minnesota, and I went to school outside Chicago, lived in Chicago. So like very Midwest. Been in LA like almost 8 years now.
Oh, wow. 8?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's kind of a long time. So I'm kind of like racking my brain. I'm like, how long has it been? I think LA, in the best way possible, was just so creative, and I had never experienced it. So I think in like the Midwest, like especially in Chicago, most people have very like, I don't want to use the word normal, like just normal 9-to-5 jobs. Like you see a lot of accounting, a lot of consulting, and a lot of finance. And because everyone around you is doing that, you don't really think to do something different. And it wasn't until I came to LA that I was like, wait, people do this, and this, and that's a job, and they can make a living. And like, I had just never seen so many people chasing their passions in a really like real, concrete way. It really blew me away. How many people were here just to like make their dreams a reality, and how many different dreams there were. It wasn't just like, I have to be an actress or I have to be an influencer. It's like, no, I want to be, you know, I want to fuse wellness and education and like my modeling career. You're just like, wow, like good for you. I've never been so inspired. It really taught me to think outside the box.
Did you ever feel lost here? Or once you got here, were you ready? You were like ready to take it on.
No, I was still following that like very narrow path, you know? And so I think I felt this like weird tension where I was like, if I'm going to have some kind of dream, I should go after it. But I didn't even know what my dream was because I was like, well, I'm just going along this path that I always thought I was supposed to. So I think it was an adjustment, just like feeling a bit for once like out of like a fish out of water a little bit. Like I wasn't like everyone I was surrounded by was so different from me.
Right.
And I was like constantly meeting new people. I think that's also really hard, is like making friends in a new city. So hard. So I just kind of felt like it was definitely a little bit of a culture shock.
So you blog about everything from style and travel to beauty and wellness. What are your favorite kinds of brands to partner with and why?
So I really love brands with a strong story. I think there are so many brands out there now in literally every category, food, wellness, fitness, fashion, skincare, beauty. And it's kind of hard to cut through the noise, kind of like, you know, content creation too. It's very saturated. And so for me, what I really look for are what are, you know, the values of this company, what is their mission, why are they doing what they're doing, and really, I especially love like a good origin story. Like I love to know about the founder. I want to know everything about them. Like what was the problem you saw? What was the gap you saw? Like why did you start this and how did you get started? Like, you know, was it bootstrapped? Was it, you know, born out of 10 years of experience? Like what kind of makes this brand tick? Why are they the way they are? Why did you choose to do this product? Like I want to know as much as possible so that I can not only educate myself, but I can also share that with other people. I just love a good story. And just like the mission behind everything. So I really look for that and really who I'm partnering with.
Love that. How have you grown your following and expanded your brand, your Luxi Look brand?
So I think one thing that's important as a creator is to never be afraid of change. And I think like a lot of people are talking about like Instagram algorithm changes. Like my account is so old at this point that I feel like I've been through a million Instagram algorithm changes, and it's like up and down and up and down. And like one thing that really helped me this year was starting TikTok, which I never in a million years thought, you know, like it's something that is so new and foreign to me, and I'm still very much like learning the ropes. Like I feel so old saying that, but I think you have to, you know, flow with the current, like wherever trends are going, wherever people are going, like how people consume. Like you have to think like, how do people consume content? And you kind of have to be there. And because I was always working, you know, full time, I was, you know, some of my jobs working like a lot. I didn't have like the time to really dedicate to that. And I feel like now that I have a bit more space, I'm like able to think about where do I want to be and like what are the platforms I want to be on. And I think just having like a multi-platform approach is probably like the right like strategy in the long run. So.
Right. And at least trying it and
just
seeing
try
if
it.
it's for you.
Exactly. Like don't go into something and be like, oh, I don't like it, it's not for me, if you've never even tried it. Like I'm just a big believer in try something once. If you hate it, you don't have to do it again. Maybe try it a couple times. Right. And then just see what happens. Yeah. You never know.
It's good advice. Speaking of advice, what is, besides that, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice to young women looking to start creating their own content? How do you set yourself apart from others?
That's a good question. I would say like general advice and then like advice on how to stand out. So I think like how to set yourself apart, like I think this is so cheesy, but it's true. You just have to be yourself because there's no one else like you. Don't try to be like someone else. Don't try to copy someone else. Don't try to replicate their success because like we're all so different. We all like different things. We all think differently. We all feel differently. Like, you know, you and I can watch the same TV show and come away with like completely different ideas. So it's like, you know, I think the more you get to know yourself, the more likely you can like set yourself apart. And I think that's like the broader advice to like, you know, my 20-year-old self or like, you know, younger women is like invest in yourself. And I mean that like really, really deeply. Like really think about who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what your dreams are, what you really want and what's really important to you. Because I think the more you learn to like really love yourself, be confident, don't care what other people think about you, and just like say, hey, this is my dream. It might be different than your dream. It might be different than her dream, and I'm gonna go after it. Like, I think that's really the best thing that you can do. And like, that's what I would tell myself, you know, if I were like 20 years old all over again, is like, love yourself, be confident yourself, and just go after what you want.
Right, because if you don't try, you won't know.
Exactly.
I mean, if not now, when? All of that.
Yeah, it's all like cliches,
it
and
is,
it's all
but
stuff
it's
you've heard before,
true.
but it's like, no, it's true. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like really, really, really take that to heart. And like, that took me a long time to learn, but it's like so obvious. You're like, duh, you know, duh, like, of course I like myself, but like really, really like spending time with yourself to think about those things.
I agree. I love that. Who do you hope to influence every day?
I think about myself, like I am in many ways, and like people have different philosophies on this, like I am in many ways creating for myself. So I really want to just inspire like women who maybe feel a little stuck, aren't sure what they want to do, aren't super clear on what the future holds for them, like to not be afraid to be themselves, take chances, go after what they want. You know, I just think about all the days I was at my job not really loving what I was doing. I was like, I don't want to be my boss. Like, this is the end of the road for me. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
You know, and I really just want to give people that confidence and courage to like do whatever it is that they want to do. Like what makes you happy? Like, honestly, like just do what makes you happy. Like, that really is like what I want people to take away from everything, is like, what makes me happy and how can I like kind of go after that.
That's also another great piece of advice, seriously. Who influences you? So you just told us who you hope to influence, but who influences you?
So I think, you know, very heavily influenced by my parents. You know, they're immigrants. They came from China, brought me when I was very young. So, you know, I think a lot of just all the immigrant parent things they told me, like, I think it's such a strong influence. And then I think social media has made it possible for a lot of women to just be influential. So I, you know, love to create content, but I also like to consume content. And so I, you know, really just take my inspiration from different pages and different podcasts. And I'm just constantly, I feel like it's so important to be inspired by everyone else around you. So I mean, like, you inspire, like, I think like
so sweet, you
everyone
me.
you meet, everyone you meet has something to offer. And so I think like taking that inspiration, taking those lessons, like, I think I just love to learn from people and like hear about what they love and like what makes them different.
Completely agree. It's being influenced, seeing what you can take from the people around you. And seeing what they're doing. No, it's great. Okay, lastly, what does it mean to you personally to be an influencer? That title, that word, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I actually like hated that term for the longest time. Like, they'd be like I'd, you know, go to an event or I'd meet someone, they'd be like, oh, are you an influencer? I was like, no. Like, I'm not influencing anyone. But I think like now it's a very accepted like industry term, and I think it still makes me a little like, sometimes I don't really understand it. But I think at the end of the day, like, if you're influencing like even one other person, you're an influencer. And I view it as like something like, are you helping someone in any way? Like, is your content inspiring? Is it giving someone motivation? Is it, you know, giving them peace? Is it helping them to relax? Is it, you know, inspiring them to book that trip, or like just, you know, live up their 20s, or just live in the moment? Like, if you can have any positive impact whatsoever, I think that's what being an influencer is. I think it's a really positive term.
I do too.
And I think it's so much more than just like, oh, I bought this product, or I bought this outfit because of someone, which I think is great too. Like, obviously, like, I like sharing like what I like to wear and like, you know, how I do my makeup and skincare. So I think that's a part of it. But at the end of the day, it's like having a positive influence on someone else's life or mentality, or just making their days a little brighter. Like,
and that's what you're doing That's what you're doing with your platform. So
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This was so nice, and again, just a long time coming. So I'm so glad we finally got to meet.
I know.
And sit here together.
I know, this is so fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Be sure to check out Amy and follow along on social at the Luxi Look and luxilook.com for longer blog posts on all things wellness, travel, beauty, fashion, style, all that good stuff. And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Influenced. We have a lot coming for you, so be sure to stay tuned, like and share this video with your friends. And don't forget to comment and tag your favorite influencers down below if you want to see them as a guest on the show. I'm your host, Gabrielle Bailenson, and I'll see you guys later. Guys, woohoo! Thanks so much for watching Influenced. Be sure to click the subscribe button right here. And if you want more Influenced interviews, click right here. Don't forget to like and share this video. And also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any updates. See you guys later.